The sun had yet to rise, but the city already sensed that its fate was about to shift. Beyond the city walls, tens of thousands of Ottoman soldiers waited. They had brought the deadliest weapon of the age, a massive bronze cannon. Every thunderous blast sent tremors rippling through the ancient ramparts. Inside those walls stood the Byzantine Empire, once ruler of the entire Mediterranean world. 2,000 years of Roman civilization was drawing to a close. Standing outside the walls was the young Sultan Mehmed, only 21 years old. Little did he know, this was more than the fall of a single city. It marked the birth of a new empire, one that would terrify Europe, command vigilance from the east, and command the attention of the whole world for centuries to come, the Ottoman Empire. Long before the Ottoman Empire rose, this land belonged to another great civilization, Byzantium. Heirs to the legacy of the Roman Empire, its people spoke Greek and followed Orthodox Christianity, believing themselves the true successors of Rome. Far to the east, however, a people from the Central Asian steppes were rewriting history, the Turks. Nomadic horsemen, forever migrating in search of new lands. In the 11th century, numerous Turkish tribes moved into Asia Minor, the region later known as Anatolia, which was then Byzantine territory. Wars altered everything. The Turks gradually built settlements here. Among their most powerful tribes were the Seljuks. They defeated Byzantine armies and founded the Seljuk Empire, establishing the first Turkish Islamic state firmly rooted in Asia Minor. Yet even mighty empires fade. The Crusades, Mongol invasions, and internal power struggles tore the Seljuk realm apart. The once great empire shattered into more than a dozen small principalities. One of these domains was so insignificant it drew almost no notice. Ruled by a young tribal chieftain named Osman. Around 1300, Osman inherited a barren territory. He possessed no vast army, no wealthy cities, no sophisticated state machinery, but he held ambition. He rallied warriors around him and forged a disciplined fighting force. These men believed they bore a sacred mission, launching repeated assaults against Byzantium. City after city fell, one by one. Following Osman's death, his son Orhan pressed onward with expansion. He seized Bursa and established formal administrative systems, turning the fledgling state into a power capable not only of conquest, but of governance. In the decades that followed, the Ottomans crossed the straits into Europe. They defeated Balkan kingdoms, annexed Bulgaria, gained control of Serbia, and steadily closed in on Byzantium's last stronghold, Constantinople. By the end of the 14th century, Byzantium consisted of little more than this single city, surrounded entirely by Ottoman lands. In 1453, the young Mehmed II stood outside Constantinople's walls. Many deemed him reckless. The city had repelled countless invaders before, the Huns had failed, the Arabs had failed, and the Crusaders too had been turned back. But Mehmed II refused to accept the word impossible. He commissioned giant siege cannons, built a fleet, and even hauled warships overland to sail into the Golden Horn. At last, the city walls crumbled. The Byzantine emperor died in battle, and the final remnant of the Roman Empire vanished. Mehmed II entered the city. Rather than destroying it, he proclaimed it the capital of his new empire. Constantinople became Istanbul, and a new era dawned. The 16th century brought the Ottoman Empire its golden age, above all under Suleiman the Magnificent. Europeans called him the Magnificent, people of the East knew him as the lawgiver. Under his reign, the Ottoman Empire reached its zenith. It ruled over the Balkans, the Middle East, North Africa, and vast stretches of the Mediterranean. 30 million subjects lived beneath its banner. Ottoman armies struck fear into European monarchs. In 1509, they laid siege to Vienna, coming within touching distance of the heart of Europe. Suleiman was far more than a conqueror, he was a builder. He reformed laws, protected communities of different faiths, and patronized architecture, science, and the arts. Istanbul emerged as a global cultural hub. Legendary architect Mimar Sinan, renowned cartographer Piri Reis, and countless artists and scholars left their legacies in this age. These were the Ottoman Empire's most brilliant years. Yet history follows a cruel rhythm. The seeds of decline are often sown at the height of power. After Suleiman's death, the Ottoman Empire began to change. Early sultans personally led armies into battle, but many later rulers grew increasingly disconnected from reality. To prevent violent struggles for the throne, the Ottoman royal house once followed a brutal custom. A newly crowned sultan would execute all his brothers. This practice was later replaced with lifelong palace confinement. Future sultans were locked away from childhood. gaining no experience of warfare, statecraft, or real contact with the realm. When they finally ascended the throne, they inherited a sprawling empire without knowing how to govern it. Meanwhile, Europe was undergoing transformative change: the scientific revolution, the industrial revolution, and the rise of capitalism. Britain, France, and Russia raced toward modernization, while the Ottoman Empire remained trapped in old systems. Its armies, once feared across Europe, suffered defeat after defeat. In 1683, the Ottomans besieged Vienna once more, and this time, they lost. In the decades that followed, the empire lost territory steadily. Europeans began to dub it the sick man of Europe. Still, the Ottomans refused to surrender. In the 19th century, the empire launched a wave of reforms. Learning from European models, modern schools, restructured armies, and new legal codes. This movement became known as the Tanzimat. It was an attempt to prove to the world that the Ottoman Empire could be reborn. Reform, however, met fierce resistance. Opposition came from old elites and religious conservatives alike. Nationalist movements also sprang up. In Greece, Serbia, and Arab lands, growing numbers of peoples demanded independence. The empire cracked apart piece by piece. In 1914, the First World War broke out. The Ottoman Empire gambled by siding with Germany, and the gamble ended in ruin. Defeated in the war, its capital occupied by foreign troops, the once transcontinental empire was left humbled and in ruins. Just as all seemed lost, an officer stepped forward, Mustafa Kemal. Rejecting the plans to partition the empire, he organized national resistance and led the Turkish War of Independence. In the end, the old empire perished, and a new nation arose. In 1922, the Ottoman Sultanate was abolished. The last sultan departed aboard a British warship. After more than 600 years, the Ottoman Empire vanished from the map. In its place stood the Republic of Turkey, a secular nation with no sultan and no caliph, charting a path toward modernity. The Ottoman Empire conquered Constantinople, made European monarchs tremble, and controlled the vital trade routes linking East and West. It cannot be dismissed merely as a failed empire. It was mighty, glorious, and reshaped the course of humanity. But history does not linger for past glory. When a new age arrives, old empires face a choice: adapt or perish. The Ottomans struggled for centuries to catch up with the modern world, yet ultimately fell. From its ruins, however, a new nation emerged. This is history's harsh truth: no civilization lasts forever. Yet the marks they leave continue to shape those who come after. For once, there was an empire standing at the center of the world, and slowly, it faded away.